We're live. We're live. We're back. Okay. Hey, everyone. Derek here from Civic Punks. Welcome back to the Creative Bureaucracy Festival live from the festival floor. And we got a special session here. I'm not going to take any more time. Jason, it is over to you to lead the session.
Amazing. Thank you, Derek. And hello, everyone. So my name's Jason Pierman. I am one of the co-hosts of The Public Practice. It's a podcast really focused on uncovering the how of public sector innovation. And I'm coming to Berlin from Ottawa, Canada. And I know that we're seeing more podcasts around public administration, innovation as it relates to public policy challenges. So when I heard that a number of other podcast hosts in these spaces were going to be in Berlin, I was like, why don't we actually have a conversation with the hosts to see what you're learning, B, what you're finding like the most exciting about some of your guests. And yeah, I thought it was just worthwhile for us to sit down and compare some notes. So what I suggest we do is each of us just kind of say, introduce yourself, say a few words about your podcast, and then I have some follow-up questions just to help animate the conversation. So maybe I'll pass the mic to Bengisu first.
Okay.
And tell us about your podcast.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm Bengisu and I host the ShiftSet podcast for sustainable transformation. And this is where I also founded my hub here in Berlin. But we are also working over 11 different innovation clusters. So basically we really take challenges from the public sector, but also from different institutions and to work really towards sustainable impact. And basically my podcast is it's a very diverse people, because in the first episode I was focusing really on belonging. So really core where you feel belong. Do you feel belong to maybe a sustainable fashion? I was inviting sustainable designers and from Berlin, and it was very super diverse. I went through to music a bit more, to finding also sustainable transformation also in the music industry, but also in art. And so I was really going to taking sustainability not just in one thing as environment, but really going in different sectors and trying to understand where people belong to and how do we change the systems also in different in the different industries. So it's not actually this is my always finding the core, finding your passion and changing towards it. So this was the main subject, and today it's more about change in the public sector for more innovation. We had a talk with the AI agents, so so that was very inspiring. So thank you so much, and I pass.
Okay. Over to you, Angela.
Yeah. Well, hello everyone. Very nice to hear you. I haven't heard about your podcast before, but I will listen to it. So Angela Galeano here, representing Futuro Público. Our podcast is actually about the how of public policy, and we really focus as a diaspora, I guess, in Latin America. And normally our podcast is in Spanish. Now we're doing in English because actually many of our networks are in English, and these topics do move a lot of people in English. But we do have this hope of making people more and more Spanish speakers, and specifically to Canada. My people from Canada.
Vamos.
And, and our passion is really to take advantage of all of the things that we can share from experience. Where is it that it doesn't work? Where is it that it works? And how do you do it? Because we talk about digitalization, innovation, design, etc. But how? How does it really look like? I want to go beyond a report. We want to go really to what makes you human in this public sector. And this is how we focus. And we've been experimenting to different formats, different topics, I think now it's really through concepts. We've been having a lot of projects and showing projects, how you do it in Chile, how do you do it in Colombia, how do you do it in República Dominicana. But now it's more about the concepts that are the red thread here. And most of the topics are concepts that we don't really know about, how to connect. For example, security issues and innovation. How does that look like in our cities? So I left it like that, and I pass it on to Derek.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Derek Alton. I guess my podcast is called Civic Punks. It's part of a much bigger project, which is that I am, like, each of us, I think, have like a burning question that drives what we're doing. And for me, this burning question is, what is the future of government? You know, government that we see right now is very much built for a different age. So what would a government built for our time look like? And so I quit my job and I'm now going on an adventure traveling the world.
We admire.
Yeah, which is terribly reckless. And so I'm spending this year traveling the world, exploring the future of government through the eyes of the people who are making it happen. And then sharing it in podcasts and videos. So I also have a YouTube channel, Instagram. I'm trying all the things because I believe deeply that this is increasingly where people are. They're in these new mediums. They're listening to podcasts. They're on YouTube. They're on Instagram. And we're just not there. There aren't people talking about this stuff in these new mediums. And it's exciting to see the groundswell of podcasts that are now popping up. And I'm hoping that we'll also start to see more content creators on YouTube and on Instagram and TikTok and these places as well. And so the hope is that Civic Punks will inspire that. Fundamentally, Civic Punks is about the people, the punks who are trying to create change. And through the eyes of the punks, through their stories, we get to learn about concepts, ideas, practices. But for me, it always centers on the people.
Wow. Okay, so I'll round us out. I already mentioned that our podcast is called the Public Practice. It was formerly called GovMaker, but we've recently made the shift. My co-host and I, Nick Scott, really were focused on trying to build the tools that we would have liked to have had when we received our first public sector kind of transformation mandate. When that happened years ago, we did our best. We did a good job, but man, was it a struggle. There were so many tools, there were so many toolkits, there were so many great books and frameworks, but we still had to implement those theories within our context, and there was no real support to figure out how to do that. So really what we try to do through our podcast is speak with those that are advancing or have had the opportunity to advance transformation or public innovation mandates, just to get at like that. So how did you do it? Like, where did you get stuck? Who helped you along the way? And then more importantly, how did that experience actually change your practice? So we're trying to follow more the heroine's story, which is a complement to the hero's story, but it's more about like, how are you changed by the journey and how's that changed your approach? So we're trying to capture these stories and these like golden nuggets of wisdom so that we could pass it to the next generation of change agents. So we've interviewed people at the working level. We've interviewed like a premier of a province. So like we're trying to get the full stack of bureaucracy. But this season we're interviewing capacity builders. So those that work closely with bureaucrats but are on the outside because they're seeing the system from a slightly different vantage point. And we're like, give us some real talk. Like, what are you seeing that we're missing? And what should we be paying attention to for those of us that are still on the inside? So that's me. So I'm really curious because we're all speaking with many different people kind of across the globe. Do you have a favorite interview? Who wants? Derek, you want to go first? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it partly because it's fresh, but also it was just wild. So I was in Ukraine. And Ukraine is this, I went to Ukraine because that is in many ways where some of the most interesting stories about the future of government are happening right now. But it's also a war zone. And so I told my parents that and they're like, you're mad. But I'm like, I'd be mad not to go. And it was this incredible 48 hours mix of like deep conversations about the future of government and what they're building there in Ukraine, intermixed with like basically war correspondence of me being like, I just dodged a drone, this explosion just happened here. And it's like, that's just the reality of Ukraine. But my favorite interview of all the interviews was one where I interviewed Victoria, who's the CIO for the city of Kyiv. And she walked me through her the first 7 weeks of the invasion from Russia on Kyiv. And it was like having play-by-play of like this most intense, engaging like thriller. It was like a government thriller. Because like, you know, getting woken up in the middle of the night by the invasion and bombs, going to the data center and then just being there for 6 weeks, never going home, just sleeping in front of the data center. And then through that, she took me through the story of how they used what they had to help support the people of Kyiv using digital technology. And it was just absolutely incredible, riveting, by far and away the most engaging. Like, I just could not take my eyes away from the conversation. It was incredible.
Amazing.
I will still think about it, but I don't know if you already know which interview was your favorite.
Novice. I think like for me, like every conversation, like it brought me like to another like world view, I would say, because this is like, of course, I'm not on maybe, for example, I'm an entrepreneur or engineer, but I'm not on like maybe I wouldn't define myself as an maybe like an artist or like musician or like a designer. And so that's why it was like opening up like so much like different like perspectives, and they're like from the backgrounds and their like intrinsic motivation, like, so why do they do actually what they are doing so passionately? And this like passion, I think this is like what we need to pass, like as you were saying, like, you know, this generation, this like to, you know, like to make them as also like change agents. And that's why it's like for me it's like I think I can't maybe really give like one specific, but I think like the ones I had a special edition like also in Amsterdam Dance Festival, so in the 80th year, and this was like also really nice because I had also really like it was not in a like a podcast setting, but it was like a kind of in this like club slash like pop-up slash, so it's like many different people like, and it was really nice like for me to create also the space, you know, for also the people to bring them together in the panel, like they don't know each other, but like when they come now they're like creating together, you know. So after like I always like, this is like the thing like what I try to do, like to also connect, to co-create, and this is like what I love to see it now. So now they're like friends, you know, like they're doing stuff together, and this is like, I think this is like the great. So it's, I think it's fulfills like the mission of sustainable transformation in my eyes. Yeah, thank you.
Love it. More pop-ups and artistic installations, more fun.
That's definitely something that really interests me. I would say that one of the conversations or interviews that we had in our podcast that was really different was with someone named Janet von Walter. I don't know her last name, but it was just, it's funny because he always makes fun of my pronunciation. And then it was what was really interesting is that it was such a serious topic. It's just, let's talk about how fascinating complexity is. And then to make it so that the conversation was still dense, but light in a way, and how to make it so that at the end the person you're talking with says like, oh, you know what, this was nice. Thank you for whatever you did, but makes me feel better after this conversation. That was really interesting. I've been never asked these questions before, and these questions trying to connect just like deep theory, mathematics, and public sector innovation.
Love it, love it. We often talk about our podcast as also being like group therapy, not just the host, but the people we're interviewing as well. I think for me, it's really tough. I think like all of you have mentioned, like there's been so many great conversations, but if I really had to choose, I think both Nick, my other co-host, and I would say it's Marlika Cabom who's a Dutch Canadian civil servant in the British Columbia public service, but she's kind of worked all over the world. She's an anthropologist and a service designer. And so, we were just able to really get to a place where we were talking both like the nuance about applying innovation practice in a public sector context, but also like the relationality of the work, both with like the people that we're trying to support, but also our colleagues within the bureaucracy, as well as with ourselves. So there was this phrase that she was using at the time called rewilding bureaucracy and ourselves. And anyway, so we, like, Nick and I stepped away from the conversation and we were just like, wow, like she just like lit our brains on fire. So that was definitely one of our favorites.
That's one of my favorites of yours as well.
Yeah. So good. So I guess the last big question is where are you taking your podcast next? What are the next kind of big questions that you'll be asking your guests? What are some of the new ways that you plan on animating these stories? Who wants to go first?
I can go. So I have still like I think one podcast to go like today, but like also like which we are like now organizing in the 1st and 2nd July here at the Einstein Center Digital Future in Berlin. Like we organize like a big hackathon, like basically for everybody. So my aim is to bring everybody from like transdisciplinary approach, and there I will also host a panel about being under pressure, because I think the times of like being under pressure is like where the creativity also like comes, and also to bridge it with AI, digitalization and sustainability. So therefore, yeah, this is like where will be my next mission, like next podcast.
Love it.
Actually, from Futuro Público, we have different perspectives, and it's good because we're different people. But something that's come across is that we've already spoken about projects and how do you do it. But now we want to elevate a little bit of the conversation, of like zoom out from this project and specificity to where are the key topics really that are important. So we're talking about time, we're talking about care, we're talking about like what makes you human. So more level up the conversation, because we have been very zooming in, which was our purpose, but now we do see the need for kind of making sense of it, and always with these regional focus that it's in Spanish, but more and more we're also driving to the possibility of mixing languages and perspectives as well.
I think there's actually many layers to that question. So from like a physical perspective, I'm traveling the world. So the next stop is Tallinn. So I'm going to be in Tallinn, Estonia, on Sunday, and then from there, Helsinki, and then Tbilisi, and then Africa in September. I have to figure that out, but hoping to hit up 5 or 6 different countries across Africa. And we were just talking about Latin America. It's going to be the focus for November. So that's sort of what's next physically. In terms of the content, I have made a shift in the last couple months towards, I mentioned that Civic Punks isn't just a podcast. It's a podcast, it's YouTube, it's Instagram, it's a newsletter. And the shift has been seeing each one of those as a different strategy and a different approach. Because originally I was just posting across all of them as the same, just different mediums. Now it's different. So what the podcast is it's the deep conversation. I sit down with someone, we talk for 45 minutes, and through that I take them on the journey. I go on the journey of who are you and what brought you to this work. What is an idea or something you're working on that is really exciting and inspiring you and you want everybody in the world to know? Where are you going next? What are you excited about in terms of the future? And then what's that one idea, that book, that practice that you learned about decades ago that still shapes you to this day, and how? And that's what the podcast is going to focus on, whereas the YouTube is like one idea, 10 minutes, and Instagram is much more of that vlogging, personal behind-the-scenes journey. And then the newsletter is overarching what is the theme from the week, from all of these conversations. the final thing I'll say is I am also trying to shift towards more practical. I think it's been very easy for me to get caught in ideas, and which is a lot of fun, but I want to get more practical, and I think the practical is also going to pull me more local. So it'll be interesting when we're talking about Latin America, looking for practical local examples that represent the future of government.
Love it, love it. So for the public practice, really, there are two things. So like we have season 3 that we relaunched this week. So we're going to kind of wrap that up. Every season is about 12 interviews, and then we take a pause. So for after season 3, the pause, I think, is going to be reflecting on season 1 and season 2 and season 3 to really start to pull together some of the patterns around the how of public sector innovation. So really excited about that. And, Nick and I, we both want to share this wisdom and share it well. So packaging it up is going to be important. The other thing that we're doing is looking to support the States of Change network that both Nick and I are a part of to launch their podcast. So, States of Change is a network of seasoned public innovation practitioners. Yeah, I got a button right there. And yeah, like just so much deep wisdom. Whether it's like Christian Basin or Beth Novak or Jeff Mulligan or, just like a whole roster of really well-known practitioners across the globe. Like there's something there about capturing their wisdom that we're going to be supporting. So really looking forward to that. Anyway, it was so great to meet all of you, and I hope those of you that are listening are, on your Spotify, trying to find these podcasts. So again, what is the name of your podcast?
ShiftSet by Sustain All.
Futuro Público.
Civic Punks.
And the public practice. So sign up, listen to these podcasts, and let us know if there's anything that you'd like any one of us to focus on, and otherwise have a great creative bureaucracy experience.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason, for that. We are going to have a bit of a gap, I think, about 10 minutes to bathroom break and get ready set. Next is going to be Paul Bellows, who's this 311 podcast, and I'm actually really excited because Paul, I think, has gotten some of the best guests for the day. Lisa Witter's going to be coming and talking about sort of her next phase of life as she's stepping away from the foundation. Jeff Mulligan's going to be coming. John Alexander's going to be coming. And they're going to be prepping sort of the debate that they're going to be having with Lisa, which is really exciting as well. So Paul gets to have all the fun. So that's going to be coming soon. So that, to whet your appetite, in about 5-10 minutes, we're going to jump into that next podcast. So definitely stay tuned for that. And other than that, big thank you to all of you for this, and Jason for hosting as always. And so we'll be back in about, let's say, 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Steve.